Welcome back to Junkie Radio, Chad. How are you?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. It's been a while.
It's been a minute, but we track you. We're happy for your success after retirement, the business that you have out there up in Northern California, watching you do your thing, and then you decided to come back to competing over at Bare Knuckle, and we were happy for you because you were one of those wrestlers that really, really developed some nice hands, power, speed, good technique, and I'm glad you got to put them to use without having to worry about all the other stuff. Just kind of throwing hands. It seems like you always really like to do that. Tell me about Bare Knuckle when they first came to you. Like, is that what appealed to you as well? Like, was it just, I don't have to worry about wrestling. I don't have to worry about anything else. Just slinging dogs.
Yeah, of course, man. It's been super nice to just focus 100% on nothing but boxing pretty much. I do mix in strength conditioning still. Obviously like the road work, but that's all the other easy stuff. So yeah, it's been nice just focusing 100% on the hands. Boxing and wrestling were, even when I was fighting MMA, my two favorite things to do. So obviously a lifelong wrestling career straight into now just boxing. So it's been nice. I enjoy it. It's refreshing to go through an entire camp without ever feeling like overtrained or overworked. You can focus completely on hands and strength conditioning and recovery, and not having to worry about the kickboxing and the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu and full MMA. The body definitely doesn't get as beat up doing this. So it's been nice.
And that's what I imagine as well, is just, because you obviously wrestled your whole life. So this has probably been a relief on the joints and the taxation, the mileage that you have put on your body. MMA can really string you guys out, and Bare Knuckle obviously kind of cuts at least half, or if not more of that. Tell me another thing. You debuted and you fought about 7.5 minutes. You got rid of your opponent in round 4. How valuable was that time? And is Eddie Alvarez, according to what you've heard, because we were at the same press conference as you were here in Las Vegas, is he aware of just how valuable that might be, that cage time that you did have? Because everyone we've talked to says it's not just getting hit with the bare knuckle, it's you and how you feel thrown a couple and maybe they don't go your way.
Yeah, it's definitely different. It sucks getting hit, and it also sucks hitting. So, my hands were pretty tore up after that fight, and it didn't even go the full time. So, I think having that experience is definitely valuable. But look, both of us have been at the top of our divisions, have been fighting in MMA for years. So, I don't think he's going to come into this completely blind. But yeah, I definitely think having a little bit of the experience going into one fight and having that under my belt is definitely valuable. There's a few things that I wasn't 100% sure on. I think the ring size is one of those things. I've talked about this before, but it's small, man. You have no choice but to be in each other's face, and be in that red zone the entire time. So that is something that if you're not used to can be a game changer right there. So, but all in all, man, I think, obviously Eddie's a gamer. He's been in this sport and doing, top level stuff for most of his life. So I know he's going to be game for this just like I am. So we're preparing for the best Eddie, and I'm ready to go, man.
To me, it looks like, and I've never really asked, maybe you know the answer, the dimensions. The small octagon in the UFC is 25 feet across. The big octagon that they use for pay-per-views is 30 feet across. Have they ever told you, just, I know it's a circle, but from one end to the end, how big it is? Because it almost looks like it's the same size as the smaller one, or maybe the WEC one. Do you know?
Yeah, I think it's even smaller than the WEC. It felt like it to me.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's smaller. I don't know what the exact dimensions are. I can probably find that out, but yeah, I think it's smaller, man. It felt like a little area getting in there. We've been training both these camps in a tiny little cage, which is nice. Going to that first one, I trained everything in that, assuming that when I got into the square circle, it would feel bigger, but it was about the same size. So I'm glad that I did all the preparation in that because I was prepared for it. But man, it would have been crappy not being ready for that. So we'll see if Eddie is.
How long have you been in Colorado?
I got here this last Saturday, so just a few days now. But man, feeling good. we'll be here a full week before the fight. So I just wanted to acclimate. But man, I'm pleasantly surprised at how little it has affected. I definitely feel the altitude, but it wasn't as bad as I was expecting. So that's nice.
Chad, George brought up your hands, and one of the things that I find most impressive about that is you're one of the quickest guys, and you throw from so many different angles, but you still maintain your power, and that's kind of hard to find in certain people. So I wanted to ask you, because it's bare knuckle, have you had to kind of pull back a little bit on some of these punches, or can you throw just as hard as you did in MMA?
The game plan going into that first one was to cut back, but it definitely didn't happen when I got in there. I just went straight kill mode, and definitely that's one of the things I'm really focusing on through this camp is being a little bit more calm and collected in there. I mean, obviously, even the first fight I was able to think, but it's you want to kill every punch you throw. At least for me, I was trying to knock his head off. So yeah, that could definitely be dangerous, breaking your hand. So a fight like this, obviously, I'm going to put as much as I can behind the power punches, but try not to throw a power punch every single time. But we'll see. I say that now, but once you get in there and you see red, it's a completely different ball game. So,
Chad, I maybe I can't speak for George, but when this fight was announced, I heard two guys that I really enjoy seeing fight, but also two just good guys. And I thought, man, this is gonna be so hard to watch because I like both of these guys.
yeah.
And I got to thinking about it. When you look at a lot of the fights in bare knuckle, a lot of them carry over some kind of heat or some where they have these types of almost good guy versus bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
But this particular fight, I mean, you guys are two guys that never get into trouble. You guys always say the right things. You've been great ambassadors for our sport. What did that feel like for you when you heard Eddie Alvarez? Did you have any similar feelings like, man, I wish this guy wasn't so nice, or I wish this was somebody else that I kind of didn't like?
No, man, I'm not one of those types of guys that has to hate my opponent for me to get out there and win. I look at this like a sport, just like wrestling, just like MMA. We're now in bare knuckle boxing. It's just there's tactics, there's techniques, there's strategy. It's a sport, and that's how I look at it. I don't have to get in there and hate my guy to try to knock his head off. Obviously I want to win more than anything, and I'm going to get in there and do my best to do that. So all the preparation leading up to that, it just pays off when you step in. But yeah, man, I like Eddie a lot. I like Eddie. I like Frankie. I like that whole camp, man. They got their guys, family, man. It's a family. It's a group of guys that love their family just like I do. It's we're not complete assholes. Obviously we respect each other. But I mean, I think this is a fight that doesn't need a bunch of that shit talking and drama to sell. I mean, Eddie's a legend. I'm a legend. Like, these are two guys that are getting in there and try to take each other's heads off. And this is a fight that I think sells itself. So it is nice to have a guy like that you can respect and respects you. And we don't have to sit up there and do all the WWF bull. So yeah, I like it. I enjoy it. Like I said, this is a sport. I know what I need to do. I'm going to get in there and do it, just like I'm sure Eddie's going to feel that same way.
At the presser, I think somebody had asked Eddie Alvarez, this is going to be your first time in there. Is this going to feel weird? And he talked about, well, I've had so many street fights with no gloves that this is kind of actually what I'm more used to. And I kind of looked over at you when he said that, and you had this little smirk. And I had wondered, I go, I bet you if we looked at Chad Mendes' street apology, he's probably got a few in there too. What were your thoughts on that? And I don't know, you got a good street fight story or something?
I mean, yeah, I've been in tons and tons of street fights. Things I'm not proud of. I talked about this in another interview. I don't ever think that this is something that anybody should be bragging about. Obviously, I was young and dumb and beat a lot of people up. It's not coming in as a wrestler, somebody that's wrestled from the age 5 on, or has trained full MMA or trained boxing. It's easy to beat people up on the streets that have no idea what they're doing. So, I mean, in my mind, there's no way to feel tough. I don't feel tough for beating someone up on the street. And yeah, I've been in a ton of street fights through high school, middle school, high school, college, even, stuff that looking back on it now, I'm not proud of, but I did it, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure Eddie's been in a ton of street fights, but it's completely different getting in there and fighting bare knuckle against another human being that's a very top level trained athlete. It's, you know, not some drunk idiot on the street that's, you know, talking shit to your wife or your girlfriend or something. You know, it's like, this is a lot more serious than that. So yeah, I mean, he said that in a few interviews, and you know, I'm sure he has been in a ton of street fights, but this is a completely different than a street fight.
I got to jump in. I love street fight stories. Uriah Faber tells us some really good ones. And I know you said it's nothing to be proud of. I agree, right? If you're highly trained, sometimes they come to you, honestly, you know. But I did want to ask you, out of all these you had, there had to be a time where you defended a buddy, or you checked a bully, or you even stood up for a girl, or you could feel proud of it. Do you have any of those you could share with us, where we can all just say, hey, good for you,
Yeah,
Chad?
I got a handful of those, but I mean, if you guys I don't really want to talk about it, but if you guys want a story, I think the one that really sticks out probably the most was, I think I was in 8th grade, and me and my brothers were walking back from getting stuff at the store, and these high school guys drove past us just talking all kinds of shit out the window. And my brother was a hothead. You know, I was able to keep it cool, but he immediately just throws up the middle fingers and, you know, gives them the big FU. And these guys are just like screaming and yelling all kinds of stuff at us for no reason out the window and drive off. Well, we go down another, you know, mile or something, and there's a fast food place that we walk past, and the guy that was driving the truck comes walking out, and he goes, "Say something now." And he like comes up, and this dude's, you know, I was probably 70 pounds at that point, you know, and this dude's a high schooler, probably, you know, close to 6 foot, just a big, tall dude, you know, and for no reason, picking on little kids, basically. Like, I don't know why he felt the need to even do this, but him and all his buddies come walking out and, you know, start pushing us around or whatever. And so obviously I have no choice but to step in. So we basically go, all his buddies are like, let's go around back so we're not on the main road here. So we go behind, it's a Wiener Schnitzel, and everybody kind of circles. And of course, I'm the toughest of my 2 brothers, you know, and they're like, you get in there and push me in the middle. Again, I'm like 70 pounds, probably like not even 5 foot tall. And this big old tall dude like is basically in my face. So I blast double leg him and take him down, and he rolls over. I double leg in, flatten him out, and just put him to sleep. And I get off of him, and all his buddies, I mean, I remember this, one of them was like a big Samoan dude, and he's just like, the guy comes to, and me and my brothers are getting out of there. And I remember him saying, dude, you just got beat up by a little kid, like giving his buddy all kinds of shit as we were hauling out of there. But that's probably one of the ones that stick in my mind the most, is, you know, for basically me not doing anything at all, and these guys just trying to be bullies, you know. But
yeah. So I want to fill in the blanks here. Your brother threw up the birds, but he wanted you to take care of the business.
Oh,
so
yeah.
were you kind of the family tough guy, or were they athletes too?
Story of my life with my brothers. Yeah, no, I've had to beat up bullies for my younger brothers quite a few times growing up. But yeah,
that's funny, man. The high school kids, they probably took a lot of heat getting beat up by some junior high guys.
You know what I like about it is, so we're 16 years in our show, so we've had a lot of people tell street fight stories, but not all the fast food places have been represented, and I think this is the first. And I love that, dude.
Yeah,
I love that.
I told my wife this story years ago, because she was kind of asking the same thing you guys were asking, and the whole Wiener Schnitzel thing is like what stood out to her more than anything. That's the part that she thought was the funniest.
I'm already thinking about a chili cheese dog sometime later in the week. Right. I don't go there too often. I think I used to go more before, but good chili dog is on my mind right now.
Here's what we got to do, George. During the fight, we order Wiener Schnitzel in honor.
There you go.
That's how we.
Honor of. I love it.
One more for me, or last one for me. You've been a part of a lot of big cards, but this one with Rockhold and Perry at the top, is this one of the fights that you've been most excited for on a card that you're on?
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is my biggest payday to date, so that's a big bonus. You know, fighting, you know, definitely one of the tougher opponents I've ever fought, doing something that's completely new to both of us. So, yeah, man, it's exciting. Thinking about that is what motivated me through this entire camp and getting prepped and ready for this. You know, there's just a lot of positive things going into this fight that I feel really good about. So, yeah, man, I'm excited for it. You know, I'm excited for the Perry Luke fight. Like that's going to be, I don't know what the hell's going to happen in there on that one, but I'm excited for that one for sure.
Chad, so you turn 38 soon. You're in great shape, jacked as always. But earlier you had told some media this is probably it. They're gonna have to come with a strong offer for you to reconsider. What is the reason that you most likely want to call it? Is it the age? Is it you're just done competing? It's not worth the money. I don't know how honest you can be with us as far as your health. Like,
Yeah.
hey, maybe some days you wake up with a headache. But, you know, we care about you guys. But at the
Yeah.
same time, like you said, big paydays are coming because you earned it, man. That blood, sweat, and tears for all those years, and now people pay for that. I also want you guys to get those paydays when you're
Yeah.
ready for it as well.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's definitely money. Money talks big time. You know, obviously, I feel like I'm still in my prime. Like I'm not to the point where I'm like, man, I'm like falling behind here and like starting to slack in sparring and getting beat up or anything like that. Like I'm still doing really well. You know, I have no health issues, knock on wood, right now. But you know, obviously, I feel like we're kind of all playing with fire every time we step in there. I mean, obviously, anything could happen to any of us at any time. I could go out and get in a big car accident, you know, who knows? But, you know, I have a family, and for me, it's like this stuff isn't a necessity anymore. Like the money that I get from fighting isn't something I absolutely need. Like I have some other businesses that are successful and doing really well, and you know, keep me busy and things. They're things that I absolutely love to do. You know, but it is nice to still compete. I still have the drive and the hunger to do it. Just at the time with UFC, in my mind, the money wasn't worth it. Well, the money's worth it now from the last 2 fights that I've had with this organization. And, you know, I said this might be the last one. I don't know. We'll just kind of see how this goes. I mean, if I go out there and it's a very successful fight for me and I don't take a ton of damage, and the money's right and the opponent's right, then yeah, man, maybe I'll do one more. I don't know. But we'll just kind of, I'm kind of taking it fight by fight. I wasn't honestly sure if I was going to do another one after that first one. So we'll just see. Yeah, this organization is definitely doing a great job taking care of us and making sure, you know, it's worth us stepping in there and putting our lives on the line. So, you know, we'll just see. We'll take it fight by fight and see where we are after this one.
Fair enough. We have to get through this one first. And obviously your health, a W is obviously probably what keeps you in the game as well.
Yeah.
And we're definitely planning on watching it live. It's a pay-per-view, folks, but they put together a nice card. You got to check it out. Chad Mendes versus Eddie Alvarez, co-main event. Luke Rockhold versus Mike Perry. And then you can answer those questions then, Chad. But we enjoy covering you as a mixed martial artist, now as a bare knuckle fighter. We want the best for you guys. And I'm one of those guys that watches all kinds of other sports, and I see how much money that their athletes make. And that's why I push these organizations to pay you guys what you're worth, because you guys deserve it. I don't think your training camp is any less difficult than what some of the other athletes do to prepare themselves. You know what I mean? And so therefore, if they have the money, you guys deserve it. And that's why I always push for it. Not because I just want you guys to spill blood for my pleasure. I'm not Caesar out loud.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have wine and grapes and thumbs up and thumbs down. No,
Yeah.
I just want what's fair is fair. If you guys are down, but you got to be into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
100%. Well, I appreciate that. So yeah, thank you guys very much.
you want to tell us about Peak? What Peak Refuel, is that one of your sponsors, or is that one of your outfits?
Yeah, this is one of my sponsors. It's a company. They're good buddies of mine that started it and run it. But yeah, it's we do freeze dried meals, mainly for kind of backcountry type stuff, hunting, fishing, hikers. You know, just kind of a mix of things that you need lightweight food that you can pack in, and then basically just add a little bit of hot water to it, and it reconstitutes, and you have a full, really delicious meal that's, you know, used with real protein, high protein, real ingredients, not a bunch of like nasty fillers and crazy preservative type stuff. So yeah, this is a company I've been working with for years, last few years now, and yeah, they do some good stuff. So if anyone's interested, check out peakrefuel.com. I do have some of my own like pre-workout focus energy drinks that I got to develop with them alongside with the meals that I got to develop. which are all my own recipes, which is pretty cool. So I love to cook, and obviously you guys follow the hunting and all that stuff. So a lot of them are game meat. So we got elk, bison, venison. So yeah, it's some cool stuff. So check them out. If anyone wants to see any of that stuff, peakrefuel.com. You guys can head over there and buy some of it.
If I wanted to take a chance on something outside of a beef cheeseburger, what do you recommend? Elk, bison? What's the one to take a chance on where you'll go, man, this one's going to change your life. This is a good one.
I love the Bison Ranch mashers. Do you like mashed potatoes?
Yes.
Yeah, you should try that one. It's got ground bison in it with some like vegetables mixed in with like a creamy ranch potato. It's definitely a very hearty, like filling meal, but the flavors in it are phenomenal.
You're still doing the Hunting Adventures company, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, Fins and Feathers. Yeah, we're still
Fins
doing
and
that.
Feathers. I've seen that. Some MMA guys have gone with you as well. It's pretty cool. I hope our audience, anybody that's into that, check it out, folks. Chad definitely does look like he knows what he's doing, and he'll take you to the right spots. And Chad, again, thank you for the time today. We really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Hopefully we'll chat again after this fight. We have a W.
Sounds good. Take care, brother.